Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're just
Thirsty.
get him his bottle.
Stone cold.
Wait, are we on a pre-show? What are we
We're
doing?
doing pre-show.
Okay.
We're doing
I was like, I'm so rusty with this show. What is the show that we're doing today? The one that we've pushed off for 7 months?
It's funny because we were supposed to do the show the first week of December. Then Key and JJ were like, bro, video game awards. Then we were going to do it the week after that. And then it was like, well, Godzilla, we must talk about that while it's still hot. And then Sam was like, hey, bro, before I go, let me shoot off a compass. And then this is where it fell.
No, actually, and then it was the following week, and then I said, "Well, I mean, the anime season ends next week. Might as well fucking line it up." So now we're here.
The anime season ends. The year is ending. Like, who would have thought we would have been ending on Animexcellence? Really? Like, if you could throw a dart, would not have picked this as our last show.
I mean, what are you talking about? The fine content that we produce on the Animexcellence doesn't qualify as a. Yeah, I mean, dude, I was like, man, I feel like we would have.
I'm be honest. I thought the first one was gonna be it.
It's really kind of funny that Sam is like, I don't understand why the show's so popular, but also, keep doing it.
Question mark. So simply too deep. Hey, night's going great. But two. How did he get caps? I was like, how did you get like on ours? It's like, is it capital on y'all's? Like
no,
ours is like
don't.
zoomed in. Yeah. Like, how'd you do that?
Ours looks normal.
Oh wow. Well, hey,
no, yeah, he's like plus 50.
but no, our night's going good.
He and largest font. Well, on the note of the night, just real quick. So originally I was going to sneak in a third show at some point when Sam was gone. Still might do it, but it was about what these guys saw in the last 15 minutes. So I just kind of thought our pre-show would be that. TJ, I know you didn't saw it. Probably might not care outside of it. Might be a great movie. The Iron Claw is what these guys want to go see.
Gotcha. Can I talk about Godzilla in this?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. No.
You did miss that one.
That's it. I guess I'll get mine out the way. So Marcos and everyone and their grandmother was like, "Hey, yo, that Godzilla pack, that's that shit." And I said, "Well, I imagine that this scary monster movie is gonna be good, but it'll be alright." No, I was.
I mean,
wrong.
what's the last monster movie that was like amazing and on this level? I can't
think of any.
You'd have to go to like the 80s,
you
right?
Have to go to the 80s, or you have to kind of go with what your expectation of great monster movie is, right? It's good monster movie, but not a good movie. Godzilla Minus One is an amazing movie. Oh my goodness! From the shots to let me take a couple steps back here. The most important part: Godzilla's not your friend. Not your homie, not your colleague, not gonna have a special bond with your daughter. It's Godzilla shows up, and they do something that monster movies never do. He shows up in like the first 5 minutes, says, "All right, y'all motherfuckers, my land, my plane, my Japanese people," and leaves, and then says, "I'm gonna be back for your shit, not tomorrow. I'll be back in a while." Then the next time he pops up,
the other side of my turf is fucking up.
He's like, the next time he pops up, motherfucker's like a shark. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a real threat. And I like how he doesn't give him time. He doesn't give him no prep time because the more that they keep on acting up, he's like, all right, y'all motherfuckers really want time, huh? I'm not giving y'all a week this time. I'm gonna be back tomorrow, and I'm gonna show up unannounced. So Godzilla itself was great, but for the first time in a very long time, I think almost ever for me, from like being an adult and reviewing movies, like human characters were good, really, really good. And I mean, the main character, who I don't know what Godzilla did but Godzilla has Koichi, you're the one who I'm gonna let. You're the messenger. Every time, you're the one who I'm gonna let go.
You're my herald. You're my Silver Surfer.
Literally, he was like, I fucked up everybody. Oh, my little bitch alive? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. But no, it was immaculate, an amazing film all the way through. I haven't given out that many 10s this year, but I gave it a 9.5. I thought it was excellent.
Oh, I gave it a 9.5.
Yeah, the literal only thing holding it back from a 10 would have been if I didn't kind of sort of at the bottom of my heart call the ending, but also
they're projecting really hard. We talked about that.
But number 2, I think it's amazing what it did with its budget. $5 million more, then you'll be in the right spot. But I also think this is a great example. This and The Creator are great examples of this year of what the fuck have been going into these Hollywood budgets. Because, Creator is a Hollywood budget, but does those visuals in this movie rival things that have triple times that budget? Godzilla,
15 million.
Godzilla is even less than because the Creator was like 70, 80 million, and it looks. And if you haven't seen it yet, it looks immaculate. This looks incredible with 15 million. And so I really want to know what y'all guys got going on with these budgets. But yeah, 9.5, one of my top movies of the year. Highly recommend it. And even if you're not a Godzilla fan, if you're just a fan of good movies, it's a great one to watch. Just be prepared. Man, you come out and I was a Japan nationalist by the end. I was like, stop fucking with my people. Let these niggas catch a break. Because, man, they say it in the movie. You know what's so fucked up? They say in the movie, they're like, man, how come ain't nobody helping us? Well, man, the U.S. said, deal with this shit on your own. I'm like, what?
Bro, the Soviets are right there. We can't be fucking up in front of them.
Yeah. Godzilla, the Soviet Union.
I mean, think of all the times in the last 2 or 3 years that you saw a movie and you're like, you're nitpicking by making that argument. This movie, if you want to nitpick it, it'll be fine. Like, oh, why isn't America coming to help? War games, like they cannot fuck with Russia in Russian airspace. Why is the Japanese Navy so poorly armed against Godzilla? Well, it's the end of the war and they've literally had everything. Like literally everything was answered and everything comes full circle. That's why the movie was so perfect for me.
Well, I think that even if you were to
even the ending, the reason I gave it a 9.5, like it's projected, but that's what a good movie does because the whole thing is love.
Let me rephrase. I don't think it took it away.
It's just kind of did
the
for me.
Impact,
yeah,
is like, and I can't like act like I can not give it impact for that. I think if they really wanted to go balls out, like I think there was an avenue that they could have taken that would have just kept everything as it was, and it still would have had I think it would have had a lot more weight. But I think I like what they're. I don't know. Like I left that movie. I'm like, I don't know what y'all trying to set up. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. So yeah, great.
Well, Godzilla can't die. That's basically like
the other part.
Oh, okay.
The other thing.
Oh,
the cells.
Oh, okay. Well, onto the other end. That's why I'm really adamant that this year we're bringing back the Tommies. Last year was kind of a bad year for movies, but this year, like, probably the best year for movies I've had since we started this show. Really, that was also kind of a good year for movies.
There've been a lot of things that have impressed me. There's a couple of movies that I haven't seen yet that I want to watch, or I need to just kind of catch up on in general. I watched Aquaman. You don't have to watch Aquaman.
I was about to say, like, with all the movies that we got punched with, Aquaman did not make my list of what I need to see.
I was like, let me go see Aquaman drunk. I didn't get to see it drunk, but I did watch it. I should have been drunk. I have a minute movie review on my own channel for this one, but basically, to sum up, no. It's not a bad movie. It's not. It's not a good movie. But it's boring bad, not funny bad, and that's the worst bad you can be. And some of the cuts, you're just like, and I don't even know where. Like, there wasn't a script in this. There was just toddlers throwing crayons at the wall.
Anymore.
But it's setting up the James Gunn DC.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not doing anything.
No, this is the last DCU movie.
No.
So it's not connected to the...
No, that would make sense, right? That would make sense. To at least give some sort of fucking have them discover a mirror that says, I wonder what other Aquaman looks, some other shit. Nothing.
And it's Michael Keaton dressed up as Aquaman.
Man, I would have even settled for something just simple as oh man, what'd you step on? A cockroach? No, it looks like a beetle. Oh, it ruined my blue shoes. Like something, you know?
They don't. I mean, I don't even think Mexicans are in this one. So, I don't know what they're doing with this one. I just.
Well, after Namor got in trouble, it's like Mexicans in water. Nope.
Mexicans don't swim anymore now.
Woo! Stereotype trading hands. But no, I see. But yeah, no, I've never left a movie just like dumbfounded at it. Like that. First of all, I spent money on it, but I was like, I haven't watched it. For some context here, I haven't watched a superhero movie all year. So I was like, you know what?
Damn, you dodged every bullet.
I've dodged every bullet. I've fucking been the Neo in the Matrix. I've been like
next year only has 2, I think.
And I'll probably have to. I'll probably be the one on the sacrificial sword, but I needed a break. All right. I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh, fuck Marvel and go give them money." No, if I say "fuck you," I'm not giving you money. So I'm not going out. But DC said, if it's your last movie, I've always shit on all of the rest of them. I might as well shit on this one too. But that's not the mindset I went in. I went in trying to be like, you know what? Let me do my best to be objective, because I hadn't seen the first Aquaman before this. So I prepped myself. The first Aquaman's alright. No, this is not a good movie. It's not even worth seeing it. And why y'all jumping topics? All right, look, y'all, you're jumping. When we get to anime, save the anime stuff for anime time, and game stuff for game time.
Well, what did you think about Iron Claw?
I thought it was great.
What is Iron Claw?
Iron Claw tells the story.
It's the wrestling movie.
Yeah.
Yes, got you.
Tells the story of one of wrestling's most
tragic
and tragic families, the Von Erichs. It tells the story of their rise in Texas wrestling, and the unfortunate fall of the whole family. Almost there at the start, there are 4 brothers. There's a 5th brother that you never see. The eldest, he died when the second oldest was 5 years old. So you never see that brother in the movie. But yeah, there were 5 brothers, and now there is just 1. And by the end of the movie, there's just 1.
So we were alluding to this topic like on some compas. That was me, JJ, and Sam. Sam looked it up later, and he read this quote from the youngest one. It was like, "I used to be called the youngest brother. Now no one calls me brother."
That's just depressing.
That line's kind of in the movie.
Oh, really?
It kind of closes it out. He sees his kids playing football.
Yeah,
and he starts crying. And his kids are like, "What's wrong, Dad?" And he's like, "Well, I used to be a brother, but now I'm not a brother anymore." Was
it just a matter of...
They all had...
issues.
So, in the movie, doesn't really do a good job of showing it, but if you watch, like, Dark Side of the Ring or a documentary that goes more in depth to, like... these guys as people, they all probably suffered from depression. And it was just like, from the way their dad raised them and from the way he was raised, no one could identify. And just the time, right? Like in the 80s, we didn't believe in that. So
what's a depression? You mean when tires are get depressurized?
Yeah, exactly. And what the movie does do a good job of showing is that, like, how the parents were kind of just turning a blind eye to, like, anything that the brothers were going through.
Like an argument could be made that the parents are the antagonists of the movie. Not life, the parents.
Well, all I heard, I just talked to Johnny Neal about it on my way here. He said Zac Efron steals the show every time he's on screen. Do you guys say that's true or false?
Yeah. Like everyone's acting is like top notch. Like the only complaint we had was Ric Flair, and that's just because he wasn't doing a good Ric Flair impression.
I've heard that Will Ferrell, like in Eastbound and Down, does a better Ric Flair.
He does do a way better Ric Flair. I do a better Ric Flair. I can't help it that I'm custom made. Woo! Can dance all night long. Look good, smell good.
Oh, I didn't know they didn't show Jeremy Allen, the bear that.
No, he was in college at the start of the movie, or once they age everyone up. He's in college and he doesn't show up for like maybe 30 minutes. and then he's just kind of like pushed into wrestling after the Olympics were canceled. It was like,
Yeah, it's because the movie really is told through Kevin Von Erich's point of view. So he's the second oldest of the brothers.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so that's Zac Efron's character. So the movie is really told more through his point of view. And so because of that, that's why, like, yeah, Jeremy Allen White doesn't really have that much screen time because, yeah, he's away in college at the start of the movie. And it's really in the second act when he, like, shows up and he gets a little bit more screen time. But again, it's still technically, like, Kevin's story, if anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
Drunster, don't you come in here with that nonsense. Don't you come in here with that nonsense. Feel great. Feel fine. Excelente.
are you wearing UT colors because of the Sugar Bowl this weekend?
Yeah, sure.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and start the show with no sports in the anime section.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marco. I will be your host today of the Animexcellence, but I am not alone today. I am surrounded by Alpha Primos and TJ, but let them go ahead and introduce themselves. I shouldn't speak for them.
I'm
Sir.
Prime Primo, all right? Primero Primo.
But yes, I am Juan Solo of the Alpha Primos. But everyone knows the true alphas are the fans that watch Alpha Primos, including TJ.
I do.
The true alphaist of Alpha.
I do, actually. I was there during one of y'all streams. In the back. It's quiet. What's up, y'all? Trinster, first and foremost, I didn't even introduce myself. Trinster, it's always good. You know, I always accept some poking of fun. And hey, team on team fight. You know, it's supposed to be this way. I would expect nothing less. That said, I don't blame you for feeling sad too. I mean, you're getting flaccoed right now, which will eventually, hopefully, happen to us in the too, bro. So, I want to see him succeed. But getting that sports stuff out the way. Hi, I'm TJ. I don't know where we are. I don't know what this show is, but I just know that if we're doing the Animexcellence, that means that if you drop the T, there's another J around. Hey, who's next to me?
And I can't help it. Look good, smell good, woo! Can dance all night long. I'm JJ.
Did you read that on my dating profile? It's right on. That's on my Bumble used to say.
And I do apologize right off the bat. I have a lot on my mind, and I have to start off the show with a little bit of a bummer. Anyone that knows us, the crowd, and you guys, myself, knows I'm a big fan of live music. Been going to concerts since I was 13. And JJ, you remember the last show we went to, Jeff Rosenstock, right? Well, I reconnected with a friend from my teenage years. Just found out she lived in Austin. We reconnected over her trying to go to Riot Fest. Asked her to get me a shirt. After that, we've been catching up. And the long TLDR is we took her to her last show. She unfortunately passed away on Christmas Eve. And yeah, she was a really good person that anyone that has ever met just has a lot of stories about her kindness kind of thing. And people have been reaching out all week. So do apologize for starting the show with a little bit of a bummer, but could not do it without just reaching out to her a little bit kind of thing. So
Anything? Well, you can expect anything less. First of all, thanks for opening up, Marcos.
no problem.
Condolences.
I'll take the rest of this.
Last but not least, her name was Selena Riojas. If you guys would like to give into a GoFundMe, reach out to me personally. I'm not going to put that on air. And then on to our normal subjects. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the chat. As we talked about originally, we have pushed this podcast off several times. And the first one was the Video Game Awards.
Yes, sir.
Well,
And you know what? I have a very strong thought. Well, I mean that I'm certain everyone else was surprised by too. But I gotta give a huge shout to a certain organization, company, throughout this show. But please continue.
Well, a lot of people were very excited on one end. This was the most crowded field that I think we've ever seen. Because I mean, if you remember one of the episodes of the Animexcellence way back at the beginning of the season, beginning of the year, we were talking about Legend of Zelda and the cool builds that you can make there. No one's talking about Legend of Zelda anymore.
It was a very stacked year for some top tier competitors, and Marvel Spider-Man 2 was also in the mix. But all the top tier competitors there who came to show. I'm kidding. I'm just poking fun. I had to throw a jab below the belt. But no, this year was like from an indie front, like just to go into some of the areas, like from an indie front, it was a heavy swinging year. From a triple A studio front, it was a heavy swinging year. There were some things that did make Game of the Year that I thought deserved to make Game of the Year. It's actually insane.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the, for lack of a better term, butthurt that like Spider-Man 2 fans.
Oh, you want to rip off that one? Sure.
Our feeling is that like every other studio, even if they didn't walk away with Game of the Year, because you know the titan that is Baldur's Gate just swept.
We'll get to that.
But at the very least, every other studio that was there and like nominated for a Game of the Year or got some sort of took something home. Like
even Mario Wonder took some home.
Yeah, Mario Wonder wasn't. I don't think it was nominated for Game of the Year, but Zelda was. It was.
It shouldn't have been. That was one of the ones.
Okay, well, Zelda was, but like Nintendo still got a prize at the end of the night. They still got their roses. Resident Evil 4 remake was also up there. It didn't win Game of the Year, but Street Fighter 6 took home some roses to Capcom.
So Capcom got their stuff done.
Right, but like Insomniac didn't get jack.
And I mean, it's a tough one because
I don't think, Joe Jarrett said this, I don't think Spider-Man 1 got anything either. So that's two games where nothing.
But I think, and this is where I guess I get into a tricky opinion. If there was a game that should have gotten an award out of the two, Spider-Man 1 should have gotten something just because it was the fresh and innovative one. And now, granted, I'm still working my way through Miles Morales. 2 sitting on the counter. I'm getting to it most likely this weekend. On the flip side, I'm going to be honest with you. And this is for you PS5 gamers out there who have not given it an attempt. Any questions you have on why Spider-Man 2 didn't win can be answered if you play Baldur's Gate 3. Let me just make it super easy for you. Play Baldur's Gate 3 and then you'll immediately get...
I am the biggest Spider-Man fan, like, well, I mean, Spider Mike ain't here. Next to Spider Mike. But
I like my Spider-Mans too.
But even I was like, you know what? I can't even be mad at Baldur's Gate. Like there is not one award that they won that I was like, they don't. No, they totally do.
And to also chime into that, I will just say, look, Baldur's Gate 3 is an amazing game. It's hours upon hours of gameplay. But there are some times where you just need to take a small break and do something else besides play Baldur's Gate 3. And so I would say, if you ever find yourself in that rare moment where you're like, I need a break from Baldur's Gate 3, then might I recommend picking up Pikmin 4.
I mean,
that's more time that I can be spending on Baldur's Gate 3, though. I'm kidding. No.
The thing that was my favorite, which is not fair, I haven't played Spider-Man, but I just thought it was hilarious because people think they got zing moments on Twitter. It was, they would show a cutscene of Spider-Man doing something cool and then be like, I can't believe this lost to this, and then it cuts to Baldur's Gate.
Dice rolling.
Dice rolling.
And I get it. It's like, if you've never played that sort of game, which this is, to be fair, this is like my first true, like, I'm going through it all.
I don't think I've ever seen a game with D&D dice in it.
Well,
I think
so. I played through Divinity 2. Well, not through. I played some of Divinity 2 because it's also like just a fucking monolith. Mm-hmm. A lot of the DNA for Baldur's Gate 3 is in Divinity 2, or Divinity Original Sin 2, because there's It's the naming is
Same.
fucking weird.
Yep.
Yeah, and I played Mario Party, and so there's dice rolls in that one.
True.
They didn't. Divinity Original Sin 2 is a D&D game without the D&D license. Like they weren't approved to use any D&D stuff,
But you can
it's
smell it.
But it's there. Like a lot of the
Do you still use a D20?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that rolls in the background. It doesn't show it to you.
Oh, okay. I was actually about to say like XCOM has probability on like whether it happened or not, but I don't see a D20 roll.
Right,
That's the only thing.
Yeah, you
and I
don't
feel
see
like
it.
that adds to Baldur's Gate.
But it does. But I also feel like the one thing they're not to like with Baldur's Gate 3. And this is my genuine like I'm almost at Act 2. That is, but I've been so stuck in Act 1 doing everything.
It's hard.
I'm probably gonna restart it.
It's
like, to be
hard.
honest with you.
It's a difficult game, but everything like the amount of ways you can approach situations is damn near endless. And I don't think any two playthrough like I'm playing it alongside a friend, and we're having completely different experiences. Completely, where I'm like, "Dog, the fuck you mean you ain't see XYZ yet? Wait, time out. You didn't do the thing I did. You didn't. Oh damn, my bad. You make me feel like, oh damn, you kind of skipping content, ain't you? Like I be doing this. You ain't doing that yet. But no, Baldur's Gate. But also they just updated it with even more lines of dialogue. More like they're continuing to bolster the package that makes it the holistic game that it is. Now, granted, there are some snubs from the game awards for me personally, but just to say, because I do think this game should have gotten in the Game of the Year category because it's my personal bias. Unfortunately,
Is it Lo-Fi Rush?
Hi-Fi Rush.
It was nominated for something.
But yes, it was nominated for something, and it won more awards than Marvel Spider-Man 2. So I mean,
and Spider-Man 1.
yeah, Spider-Man 1. It won an award. No, Hi-Fi Rush was, in terms of a game that keeps on delivering, I'm a big fan of it. It's one of the 10s I've given out this year, and I think it definitely deserved. Nintendo, you get one rep. The fact you got two, and I look at you wonder, not to say you aren't a good game, you aren't Game of the Year quality in that same level of contenders that were there.
Sir, they got 3.
They got 2 nominees.
They got 3.
No, because they got in Game of the Year?
Game of the Year. I thought you were talking about the whole award.
Oh, no. They got Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 wasn't in the category.
Exactly. Hey.
No, I'm going to give you that.
Okay.
But no, Hi-Fi Rush definitely deserved a Game of the Year nod, mainly because if there was any Xbox nod, that should have been the one. And also because it was, I know what happened. It came out too early in the year. It was a shadow drop that was complete, that was super complete, and they've only updated it with free content since. Universally acclaimed, 9 or 10s across the board. That's a Game of the Year nod at the very least.
For a while, like after Zelda came out, I was like, all right, that's it, we're done. Like there's nothing else coming out this year. And then he had to remind me, dude, Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate 3. This year is still stacked. And I was like, but how? I'm already playing Game of the Year today.
It is kind of funny because New Year's is when I like look at stuff and go back. Music, not so much. Like not the best year for music compared to other years. Movies, loaded as fuck. Video games, also loaded as fuck.
This year for video games, and I say this, 2017 is one of the best gaming years in recent memory. One of the strongest years. And if you want to know 2 games that came out that year, Persona 5 came out that year alongside the original Breath of the Wild. The original Zelda of like the new age, so Breath of the Wild. So you got 2 strong contenders, and there's a lot more. Odyssey came out that year as well. 2023 is, and from I haven't even gotten to the indies. I've played a lot of shit this year. I've not handed out this many 9s and 10s. I don't hand those out, especially in gaming. I don't hand those out like hotcakes. It isn't so hard to keep those away from some of the best games of the year, and even games that aren't the best of the year. Like people forget, Dead Space remake came out this year, and that's an immaculate remake, amazing. It didn't even get a Game of the Year, not that I think it deserved it, but more so that game on that game on any other tougher year would have got a Game of the Year nod.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
No.
It's so ridiculously stacked that even some of the indie games that I thought should have been nominated for some certain categories weren't. Now, granted, the best indie game of the year, there's no right answer for this, but Pizza Tower should have been on the game. it got the newcomer, but it didn't get the win. It should have got the win. But no, you got Dredge. I'm playing Dave the Diver right now. This year has also taught me that I like fishing so much because between Dredge and Dave the Diver, I have a problem, y'all. I beat Dredge and said...
Also a year of like comebacks because we had Phantom Liberty, the Phantom Liberty update. Even if you didn't buy the expansion, you still got brand spanking new Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk that works.
JJ, pause for 2 seconds. Bad G. Time out. I mean, you ain't got to say all that.
Re-listen to my intro. I can't help it. Custom made.
See, that's how you get sent stuff. That's how you come to us. You ain't got to pay for a thing.
But I mean, even Fortnite came back with like a Lego.
I was going to say that Fortnite.
Man, I've never I was one of the Fortnite simps when it first came out, and I still think like. Any hate that goes towards Fortnite is unwarranted. What it's doing is just completely unique. I love, in terms of, like, just the amount of shit it offers. It's making money. It's doing its thing.
I don't know, because they didn't die. They're 40. They're not old. They're not 80 and dying kind of thing. It's not a boomer kind of thing. But it's just like, the people that hated Fortnite were Modern Warfare simps. And
they had that zero build mode, and I got my cheeks clapped so hard.
And I was actually, but Fortnite was doing some wild and shit this year, to the point where I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm trying to find people to play Fortnite with because I used to catch these dubs back in the day. And also, time out. Fun fact.
Carry me and Christina Uchiha?
Man, dog, anytime. Fun fact, that was like one of the crazy situations I've been in where a guy paid me $50 an hour to teach him how to play and win in Fortnite. Back when it was before they had no build. Like, it was back in the day. First of all, I don't know why I put myself in this situation, but if you know me, I've worked every job under the sun, and that includes Craigslist ads for helping someone learn Fortnite. But he took me into his condo, like back in downtown, like in downtown, off of Barton Creek, had a condo off there, and motherfucker was paying money that I couldn't even dream of, and he was like, "Yeah, you're $200, 4 hours. Can you give me a session? Also, you want to play on my PS? You want to play on my VR system, dude?" I was like, that was back when VR was super expensive. I was like, "Yeah, man."
It's got a whole like fucking holodeck chip.
So on that note, this is one of the funniest things that I've ever heard, and don't mean to get into wrestling stuff, but I just thought, you know who Randy Orton is, right?
I'm not that inept.
Okay. So Randy Orton really liked playing Elden Ring, but he hated leveling up and dying. So I'm not exactly sure how he did this because it wasn't a public tweet, but he just paid someone to fight him and die 100 times so he could keep looting everything until he got to a prestige level. That's kind of what, hey, teach me to play Fortnite reminds me of.
Well, it was very much like a, hey man, what do you? I was trying to because it's very, and I learned this whenever I was trying to explain how to play a game to someone. I think that out of all games to explain, shooting is the first-person shooters, third-person shooters are the toughest. Because to me, that's a feel. I think teaching, like, it's like hey, I can't teach you how to be quicker on your like reactions and whatnot. I can teach you some of the basic mechanics of like, what am I looking out for? What am I listening to? Like, or do you have here? Like some of the basic things.
I like that they added glint to the snipers now.
Yeah, and you can call it out, and so. I have a lot easier time teaching people fighting games because there's basics I can teach you, but then after that, it's a feel, it's a rhythm, it's a whole other thing. It was a very hard experiment. But again, paid me $200 back in like right after college, so I was like, looking for a job and whatnot. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not gonna take $200. That's a fourth of rent. Taking the flip, you said it's a year of comebacks. You want to talk about comebacks, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. You know who made a comeback in a statement? A company I thought didn't think they made other games. Yo, Sega. I saw you. I saw you. You thought you came back cute, didn't you? You came in the Game Awards, said, hold up, with a traditional Sega ad? Look, I'm not always, like, if you're going to do nostalgia, you got to do it right. And Sega, that's how you do an ad. Coming out with Crazy Taxi. They've been sitting there acting like,
they were dead.
Yeah, acting like they were dead. Like, we only make Sonic. in Sonic.
And every once in a while, we'll push out a Yakuza.
But
Yakuza's kind of becoming like Call of Duty because there's a new one every year. Because we had Ishin this year, and then we had the band who raised his name.
I'm not going to pull clips because that'll make it very hard for Key, because we're going to definitely go over 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is what I said in my brain. But Yakuza, it got sponsored by AEW, and they had a Yakuza match. Mm-hmm. I just want you to imagine that, TJ.
Well, as a more recent Yakuza fan,
the entire Omi and now it's bowing to this dub.
As a more recent Yakuza fan, and trust me, when you go to Japan, you become a Yakuza fan too. I wanted to have collab. Yakuza is the one game that I think can have collabs with anything. Tell me it's got a collab with Hello Kitty, I'll be like, yes, I support it. Tell me it's got a collab with fucking the NFL, I'll be like, yes, I got it. Got that One Piece shit. Yeah, like I want it all for Yakuza.
This isn't the first time it's crossed over with wrestling.
No, there was wrestlers in Yakuza 6.
Yeah,
but I also feel like, just going back to Sega in general, to come out and say we're working on 5+ more games and actually show gameplay with them, which is awesome. And just even the ones where they're doing shit that I don't even think, like Crazy Taxi isn't a game that you think would work nowadays, and they're doing something for that. Oh my gosh, Jet Set. Mm-hmm. People have been begging for that. That's why, what is it?
Bomb Funk
came out. Thank you.
I'm glad Sega is doing what other companies won't do, where it's just like,
they Nintendo
does what Nintendo don't. But I
mean, people have been begging for another Mega Man game for like 15 years at this point.
Yeah. And I thought Mega Man 11 sold well, but they hate Mega Man. But seriously, I really appreciate that. There was something that I think that some old school companies really need to lean into. If you're gonna do nostalgia, do it right, and then also come out with a bunch of new banger game announcements. Show off what you got going on, and am I hoping for a full-on Sega comeback? I'm hoping for a Genesis 75. I want another. I do want another. If I'm being real, I do want another console to cut through the fat to make these companies shake a little bit. Do I think it's gonna happen? Fuck no.
Isn't there a Steam box? Hasn't that been rumored
Steam Deck?
forever?
Steam's there.
Yeah.
Steam, and actually, let me flip the script here. I think I've said it on the show before, but the Steam Deck is the best investment I made this entire year. It's one of the best things I own, and I can say. Put up. Where's my top
Genius
hat?
Monster? We played Streets of Rage 4 on this podcast.
Where's my top hat and bow tie? Because I own every console. But I can say the Steam Deck has been the most amazing investment I've made this year. And that's but to see Sega do what it did, that was dope. But there's also a bunch of other games that I was interested in. And the Game Awards this year was very good. That said, all the Call of Duty people that got butthurt because of God of War Chad coming out and saying, haha, making clowning on y'all, suck it up. We know what it is. This Call of Duty sucked this year, and I bought it. This is the first Call of Duty I bought in years, and I said, the gameplay's fine, multiplayer's fine, but it ain't hitting on the same level of the other Call of Duty.
On the other end of the spectrum, because we just haven't talked about fighting games. All the big three are releasing something soon. Tekken is the only one left off, and I think they're as soon as February, I believe. January. See, even closer. We got a new Street Fighter. We got a new MK. I am the biggest MK stooge that there is. Street Fighter made a better fighting game this year. I will 100% endorse that, and they deserve the win that they got.
Street Fighter is an immaculate game. Fun fact, it's actually the game I have the most amount of time on my Xbox this year, which is kind of insane because, trust me, I do play a lot of games on my Xbox. But yeah, just in terms of catering to fans, giving them what they want, creating. And Capcom, I saw your skin shit. That is stupid.
Well, they both do that. MK and Street Fighter have both charging dumb prices for their
astronomical prices, which I do not co-sign. Semicolon. However, fighting games need to make money so they can keep on coming out. So part of my soul. But I want to give a shout out to some of the like I feel like it was swept by some of the big companies. ArcSys, you did a great job this year too, and I want to make sure that's known. You did drop the rollback netcode beta for Dragon Ball FighterZ, and no one thought that was coming out. Dragon Ball FighterZ still being I think I can say it, my favorite fighting game that has come out in recent years ever. It's the game I've put the most amount of time in fighting game wise. But also they redid Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and that is one of the if you're not into Grand Blue, which I'm not either, it is one of the most beautiful things to look at, which ArcSys does very well. Guilty Gear Strive's getting great updates right now too. And so, hey, ArcSys, you did a great job. This has been a great year for fighting games, and I just wanted to continue forward. But
I will say on that note, MK, amazing to play with your friends. It is a very good fighting interactive. It's just that it's very hollow unless you're playing with other people. Street Fighter has a lot with that world tour kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I think they nailed like a first person campaign in a fighting game, which I don't think I'd ever say before, but the World Tour was awesome.
The Street Fighter's other one person's campaigns were very terrible, and I'll admit that outright.
But I think fighting game first person campaigns suck in general because
I like MK's cinematic thing, but this story was dope.
MK's was the one that like where this like the things around it were always so well done, right? There was a story, there was a theme. You didn't have to go through the bullshit a lot of the times. That said, World Tour felt like an actual like evolution to how you do stories.
Exactly, and there you have choices in that. Not as many choices as Baldur's Gate, but you do have choices. That being said, when it comes back to MK, I think it's really funny because I think Rick and Morty said that this year, where it's just like, dude, I'm tired of... No... Who said that? It was South Park. I'm tired of multiverses, and I think it's the stupidest shit ever. And I once they said that, I was like, no, I agree. And then Invincible, like we didn't get to review that. As soon as like episode 2 was like, oh, multiverse, I was like, dude, I'm tired. Like South Park was right.
So in their defense, that was something that was in the story. So I mean, can't fight it. Like that was actually in the comic.
But I mean, you can say that in Invincible if you want. But
not
MK did not need a multiverse where it's just like Shao Kahn going up and like, oh, like if there's other universes that are bad, then there are universes that are good. By the way, I think like it's funny like the way that MK went a little bit more I don't know what it's called. It's not multi-ethnic to be gay or any of the other stuff. But like they went to everything in the new game.
Time out. You said multi-ethnic, and then you were talking about sexuality.
I don't know what it is, but it's just like they did everything. They literally did everything in the new game. Where it's just like I think it was MKX. They were just like, oh yeah, Kung Lao's descendant. He likes other people. And that was it. Like, that's all they said. And it's alluded that it's just like, you're supposed to take away that he's gay. But 100%, I hate when everything does that. Like,
Thank you, Tina.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tina.
Inclusive.
Keeping him in check.
No, but it's just like, oh, we made Sulu gay and all he does is hug a guy. Like, I go all the way with it. It's just like, he fights for the dude that he cares about. It's important to the storyline. In Star Trek, he hugs the dude that he cares about, and then he just walks away from him.
I think MK is a weird one because I've said this before on the show, so don't be pressed when I say it. I'm not the biggest MK fan. That's because they just do whatever the fuck they want.
Sassy Shang Tsung was the best thing about MK1. That's what I mean. Like, I'm pretty sure Shang Tsung is kind of gay in the new movie, in the new video game. And then it's just like they didn't need to make not Shinnok, Quan Chi. Quan Chi is randomly Indian in this game.
Okay.
Like no, he 100% is. And
I'm not doubting it. It's just the idea of it, like, just caught me off guard. I didn't think that's what you were gonna say. You know?
Yeah, that's why I'm just like they just changed random people's ethnicity for no reason, and I'm just kind of like.
I mean, I will comment on the whole multiverse thing that you're like, oh, it's everywhere. It's like. There's Easter eggs of the Spider-Verse in the Spider-Man 2 video game, so you can even argue that there's a multiverse in Spider-Man 2. So that's why I'm saying if you need a break from Baldur's Gate 3, pick up Pikmin 4. No multiverse in that one.
So let's talk about this. Is Pikmin? You a Pikmin 4 advocate? Mm-hmm. Big stan?
It's kind of funny because it's either like
get the shine it deserved.
it's. I was about to say like you can take this after this, but it's just kind of like you either played Pikmin 4 and loved it, or you just didn't play it. That's what my understanding is.
Mm-hmm. That's 100% true. Mm-hmm. It's like you didn't play it.
I kind of like that description. It's like you either played Pikmin 4 or you bitch.
Like, yeah, I think I've said several times, like, my biggest regret is that I didn't get into Pikmin, like, when it came out, like, in the beginning. I got into it when it came out on the Wii U with Pikmin 3. And I'm like, this is fun. Then they released Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch, and I bought them. I played the crap out of both of those. And
I've not played a Pikmin game yet, so you're doing a good job selling me because I can be sold.
All right, well...
I'm a simple man.
Well, you can start with any of them. That's the beauty of it. You can start with any of them. You don't have to start with 1. You can start with 3, or shoot, you can even start with 4. There's no problem in it. The one heads up I always give everybody, I know I told Jay this, is that if you do play Pikmin 4, you're going to play it, you're going to like it, you're going to get hooked on it, then you're going to hit the end credits. But hold on, my friends. The game's not over. The real game just started.
I will take that for what it is, because I have been... TLDR, this week I've been trying to just knock out the Pokemon DLC, and the most recent Pokemon games have made me a Pokemon completionist, so I just do everything in the games now. Maxed out one of the Pokedexes and one of the DLCs. I'm working on the second one. I'm on that work. So if Pikmin is like that, then it'll probably hit this. Well, shit, now I gotta complete it.
By the way, as a weird generational thing when it comes to Nintendo, I was shopping for games for my daughter. Found Mario Party, and I was like, sure. Like, what kid doesn't like Mario Party? And
This
then, really,
I never liked them.
I just feel like it's kind of fun. I will get that like some of the middle Mario Parties go on for way too long, like an hour and a half, 2-hour games. But I was just like, oh, I'll get Eva Mario Party 9, and then her mom was like, get her Smash Bros. And I went to like 5 GameStops fighting
mom
Smash.
right there.
She opened like 2 games. One of them was Mario Party. I did end up going to 5 GameStops to find her Smash Bros. And then one of her cousins got her Nickelodeon All-Stars, and that's the game that she plays the most so far.
Well, Nickelodeon All-Stars is like
It's a Smash clone for sure.
Smash clone with a heart. It cares. I recently got put
It's
on
the one good game mill game.
I recently got put on this one game that was like really cool. Let me see if I can find it. It was really cool. It was another Smash clone that like, and I don't like that.
PlayStation All-Stars.
Not PlayStation All-Stars. Let me get it.
Brawlhalla?
Oh, that PlayStation All-Stars had so much potential, and they just kind of ruined it.
I do like that it becomes a meme in God of War 2, Valhalla. I don't know what you call that game.
Ragnarok?
Ragnarok, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but if I do, I definitely want to give it a little bit of a shout out because it was very cool when I saw it, and it was kind of a unique take on the whole Smash clones thing because I think it had actual proper fighting game combos.
Stop by and say hello. Cheers, fellas. Keep up the good work. Thank you, The Patch.
But I'll see if I can find it. If I don't, that is what it is. But yeah,
I feel bad for like reading comments sometimes, and I'm like, we're also a podcast, so someone listens to us, and then they're just like,
actually, I don't think we ever talked to our. Hey, listeners, if you're exclusively a listener, which shout out to you, you're a special breed. Drop us a comment somewhere where we can see it. Most likely on Twitch on one of our streams, but also on Instagram on one of our posts. Just let us know that you're primarily a listener, and I'd love to just kind of hear like how y'all guys even think about us and just learn more about y'all.
I mean, we do get like 300-400 listens per podcast, so there are a lot of people that just listen and have never watched any other form of media.
You're underselling us a little bit, but yeah. Just let you know. But no.
I have not updated years after we went viral for Ben Shapiro talking about gingers, but
the TikTok shadow banned us.
Is that what happened?
No.
Well, the last video game topic here today. what game are you looking forward to in 2024? And I do know that, like,
What game? Game singular.
If you want to say multiple, go for it.
Does it have to be 24? Can I jump to 25?
No.
I'm doing it anyway. Grand Theft Auto 6, baby.
Look. So I'm not a Rockstar Games person, and I've said that on here too.
We are on SoundCloud and on Spotify and on what was Soundwolf?
Are we on SoundCloud?
Soundwolf. Sam, when he put us,
We're on Spotify
Soundwolf,
for sure.
No, when he put us on Soundwolf, it's just like this plays on every other spectrum. But continue.
So, damn, you caught me like mid beer drop. Which
Sorry. I will say my answer very quick because I was surprised by this. It's I still want to play Suicide Squad despite all the negative things. Or you can just say that I'm going to play Baldur's Gate 3
there you go.
2 or 3
there you
more
go. Yeah. Yep. Play Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, actually, Persona 3 Reload, like Jojiro says, I do want to play that for the first time ever.
May it's like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Yeah. I like both of those.
And Tekken 8.
So I'm gonna go through the list. Hades 2, both FF7 Rebirth and Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3 Reload for sure. Mephisto Fantasia, which is the other game that Atlas is dropping, and I think I said that right. Yeah. And it's like Persona except fantasy, which inject that shit in my veins. But yeah, those would be the few that I'm very, very much interested in going into the next year.
Damn, Hades 2. I didn't even know that was
Hades
possible.
2 for sure. Oh man, I was a new wave Hades simp. It was like, I want to say late last year, got into Hades, never turned back. So yeah, and that's just early next year. Of course, I'm interested in some of the other games that are coming out a bit later. Hopefully we'll get some updates from Nintendo. I think it's about time for a new console. So if that happens, I'll be very excited for that. And I'm really excited for Tekken 8. I'm not a Tekken fan, but super stoked for some of the things they do. And if you've looked at their accessibility options, which I'm all about, the more people who can get into gaming, the more people we can make, especially in fighting gaming, the more people we can
I
make.
have one complaint about Tekken 8.
What is it?
The demo doesn't let me pick Law.
Also, that Tekken 8 is the only one that's just mostly like stayed close to like we're just dudes punching each other. Like Mortal Kombat has.
I don't know, bro.
I was gonna say mostly.
The opening fight is like, hey, unleash your Super Saiyan demon mode so that we can destroy an entire city.
So here's my big beef, and it actually used to be my beef with Street Fighter, where it's just kind of like only 3 characters matter, and Street Fighter has actually grown a little bit. Like literally, the boss in the new Street Fighter 6 is a new guy. Like JP did not exist beforehand, so kudos. They already won me on that one. Tekken is still all about like just
the Mishimas.
Yeah. And the problem with that is that like you're giving me so many more interesting characters on the side.
Well, not only I saw TikTok, and I'm sorry I don't remember the creator, but he brought up a very interesting point about like the Flanderification of Paul Phoenix.
Yeah,
because Paul Phoenix was supposed to pretty much be the Ken of Tekken. He was supposed to be Kazuya's rival. But as we've gone on, like, the one thing that people know about Paul Phoenix is that, oh, he's that goofy dude that, like, sometimes teams up with Law. The older Law or the younger Law. It doesn't matter, but he teams up with them. And they do goofy shit together.
I mean, but they introduce such cool characters. Like King doesn't ever do anything interesting story wise. They have him do something on the side. I forgot they introduced some a Spanish detective. I forgot his name. And
Miguel?
I was, what? Yes, Miguel. And I was like, that dude looks so interesting. He's like, yeah, bro, I just hate all the Mishimas. And it's just like, and he'll never do anything about it.
I won like 3 online matches just by kicking with Miguel. Just did the Spartan kick over and over again. There was no recovery from it.
But that being said, I mean, I guess Tekken is... I feel, and this might be an unfair argument, it's just a few shades away from DOA. And that's fine.
No, it's a few... more than just shades away from DOA.
Yeah, excuse you.
Sir.
Tekken does bowling. DOA does volleyball.
DOA has different
Different
things I'm rolling. Yeah, different types of bowling I'm looking at.
I've actually never cared about that, but I know there is a Super Jiggly
Kangaroos
mode.
have better story. He's not wrong.
Actually, on that note, the Bears have a better story than most of the characters.
Kuma and Panda always.
Well,
I
feel,
suck with those two characters, but I always make sure I play through their story mode because it makes me laugh.
I feel like if you're any I think the fear of fighting games, a lot of times you take your main characters and then siphoning off of them is a very scary thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's what you have to do sometimes. That doesn't mean they leave their roster. It just means, cool, they're not a focus. They can be just as prominent as side characters. And when we get into the anime side of things, sometimes side characters are just as equivalent and can outshine plenty of main character showings.
Well, that's why I loved Mortal Kombat for the longest time. They're just losing credit with me over time because this was 3 games ago. But MKX just being like, new roster, new guys up. And they all played really well. Honestly, MKX is one of my favorite games ever. That being said, we're moving away from video games now, guys. And just stating an adjacent. And I'm glad you brought up side characters because that's basically what this whole show is about. We're tiptoeing into anime lightly by talking about Netflix. And
let's do the thing.
I was going to do it after this segment. But if you want to do it now.
Yeah, let's do it now. Let's make it clean. Make it clean.
All right, guys. We will be right back after this commercial break. Hey, guys. Just want you to know this podcast in general is sponsored by Manscaped. Remember to use code MEX20 and you can get 20% off and free shipping. All of us use Manscaped products, including you, right?
Yes, I love Manscaped, man.
Shit. You know what the worst part is? Like that cutaway to you is like, oh man, did we pay him? Are we holding him hostage to use Manscaped?
Man, you don't have to hold people hostage when you're talking about Manscaped.
No, you don't. Genuinely speaking,
I mean, you already got them by the short hairs.
Yeah. Genuinely speaking, we use the products all the time. We love them to death. My usage of Manscaped has got my girl to buy Manscaped things for herself. So I think across the board, it's just a quality product that as we get closer to New Year, New you should be considering your hygiene and your grooming if it's one of your New Year's resolutions, which don't start on New Year's. Start your grooming today, please, for all of us. And Manscaped makes that super easy. And with Manscaped coupon code MEX20, you get 20% off and free shipping. Now, show us some of the products that they can get.
As I was pulling them up, the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. But I can't say enough about the razor, the nose hair trimmer. Basically, almost everything from Manscaped has taken over my life because I use the body wash. I'm wearing the deodorant right now. Actually, technically, I'm wearing the body wash as well because that's what I bathed with.
And I'm wearing the undies. No, Twitch took back the nudity rule, right?
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, guys. Different website.
But just remember to use code MEX20. Manscaped supports us, and you guys do as well. And together, we can all save money on trimming our short hairs.
Yeah.
And, JJ?
You forgot it.
Your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you.
Hey, guys. I want to talk to you, take a little bit of time and talk to you about the sex. I'm sure you all been having the sex. Am I right?
Real presumptuous of you.
Well, you've been dating someone for years. You're literally engaged. And JJ is a man of the night. Look at him over there. I just bringing this up because, gentlemen, no one wants to last 15 minutes or less anymore. Like, you got to push it.
Push it real good.
Exactly. And for that, Joy Mode is here. And Joy Mode has coupon MEX20 for 20% off and free shipping, the same as Manscaped. I'm not sure if you're aware of that other offer. But anyway, we've partnered with Joy Mode. Gone are the days of sketchy gas station erection pills and side effects that you can't imagine, literally heart attacks, because it's just a series of B12. JJ you can call Genius Monster any time if you want a little bit of kudos. But that's where Joy Mode comes in. Their sexual performance booster is an all-natural and science-based supplement. and it's to give your dick the stick on all the tools it needs and nothing it doesn't. Simply mix this wonderful concoction with 68 ounces of water, 45 minutes before sexual activity, and watch the magic unfold. Literally. I'm going to be honest. I took this supplement just because I was out of a certain supplement that I take called ashwagandha. I took it, and it was like having a vigor. Like, it was like Goku when he couldn't do Super Saiyan, but when he went Kaioken times 3, I was like, oh, this literally is heating up my body and such. So
you literally messaged us and you're like, dude, I'm feeling warm. I'm like, Marcos, none of us can help you with that feeling of warmth, but I'm glad that it's effective. But that's really cool to hear, man.
Well, be the new sheriff in the bedroom and use Joy Mode and 20% off if you use the code MEX20. The 20% off and free shipping are at usejoymode.com. Seriously, use it. It's really good. And we'll be right back with the rest of our show. Hey, guys. Well, now we're on to our anime section, but we're going to transition a little bit by talking about Netflix real quick, because Netflix has actually dropped 3 things that would fall into our spectrum. I have not watched all 3.
I dropped more than 3, actually.
Omnimusha, The Blue-Eyed Samurai, and Scott Pilgrim.
I've not watched the one that people keep on telling me to watch. I'm watching it tonight.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Which is...
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, no, we don't got to include that.
Pluto.
Actually, yes, Pluto as well. Oh, shit. We haven't talked about Pluto.
Pluto's real good.
I haven't finished Pluto. I also haven't watched Blue-Eyed Samurai, but that's the one I'm watching tonight. So
it was between like Blue-Eyed Samurai and Animusha, and I was like, I like Animusha. I chose poorly.
I didn't watch Omnimusha. I watched JJ watch Omnimusha, and he was like, it's just really slow.
It is just really slow. That is my one critique of it. It's not bad. The story is interesting, but it could probably be told in 3 episodes.
And now to take a step back, just because Scott Pilgrim had so much hype behind it, it's literally a cult movie for millennials kind of things. It's one of my favorite comics. It's probably 3rd, actually. That being said, has anyone else watched it? I know you watched 4 episodes.
I've watched 4 episodes, yes.
And then these guys already talked about it on Alpha Primos.
Kind of. Tangentially.
Well, we're here to review that to a degree. TJ, let's start with you because you've already seen enough to know what this is about. How do you feel? Or how did you feel as compared to the original?
So I'm going to preface this by saying it's impossible to review this without some mild spoilers, but I'm super spoiler averse, so I will not try and go into all of the things.
I will say on that note, the plot twist that happens in episode 2, I believe.
1.
It's 1.
Episode
it's at the
1.
very end of episode 1.
The plot twist that happens at the end of episode 1 apparently is something that everyone involved with the project was very heavy. And if you're not in America, the trailers literally give it away. And the trailers did not give it away in America. So that's one of the steps back that we all took.
So, not knowing... okay, so it's very interesting how I felt about it. So I knew it was going to happen. Kind of knew it was going to happen because internet being internet. But I still was very open-minded going into it.
I feel like that would be better than me and JJ going in blind, and it's just like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah.
He had one job.
So I have a couple things. Knowing what the overarching thing with Scott Pilgrim is,
Yeah.
this plays into that, right? Like
It does, actually.
It plays into the whole theming, and especially if you go with the comics and even the movie, where it's very much about the journey of Scott Pilgrim is very much about
It's
really
coming of age.
self-worth. It's self-worth, coming of age. It's tackling your own issues.
Well, the comic,
the movie, I think
the movie was handled it poorly.
Handles it poorly.
But the
Comic handles it the best.
in the comic, the sword of love does not defeat Gideon in the comic. That does come out in the movie.
It doesn't work in the movie.
No, in the movie they create other bullshit along the way. But in the comic, the sword of self-worth, where it's just like, oh, I understand you, and understanding where you come from and who you are, Like, that's the sword that defeats Gideon, which is completely fucking lost on the movie. That was what I was looking forward to into having in this show. That it's just like there's so much growth that is left on the table from the movie, because the movie is page for page, one for one, for the first...
Like the first volume, I think.
Well, the first, I want to say 2 evil X's. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, it's put on such a pace that by the time you get to the twins, which are very important to the plot in the comic, they don't even get a line of dialogue in the movies.
So with this one, well, I'll kind of, I'll set the stage for a couple things. Well, TJ is one of those people who got conned into the goth girl wave. So the show really reinvigorated some feelings of, yeah. Unfortunately, I am one of them.
You're dating a kind of goth, so it's not the worst thing.
I said, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dyed hair does it for me, and I can't help it. All right,
that's the only thing she's missing, but she has the vibe for sure.
Her hair is dyed. I was like,
fooled me.
So I get it. Like this had a lot of things that I said, well, this answers a lot of questions, and I'm feeling some things about this animated character that I'm like, wow, okay, the personality. But that just goes to say, I think the voice acting is actually immaculate, and I don't expect that from actors. Mm-hmm. Michael Cera does a great job in that first. Like, I'm like actually in the first few, and I haven't finished, so I don't know if there's some more of that. But Michael Cera, I was like, dude, you're actually really good.
Michael Cera is the best part of the anime, and it's very weird because he's not in it as much as you would think.
Like when I say the timing, the way they handle jokes, the way they do things with Scott Pilgrim himself and Michael Cera, like I was really impressed with that vocal range. And I'd even extend that to quite a few of the other people. Wallace. His cool, what they always say.
And I'm going to be honest, I've not seen Wallace in another movie between now and the movie. And the
but they say every time he was a cool gay roommate, which I think is hilarious because like it's exactly what he is. But like the voice act, like so this plays into, so the show in general plays into more of a. If you've ever seen Bee and Puppy Cat, or that kind of...
There's also another internet show that they grabbed and then made into another show.
Yeah,
I love that show.
If you ever seen Bee and Puppy Cat, you ever seen...
You watched like 3 episodes.
You ever seen that kind of... you ever seen that kind of... I don't want to say Adventure Time, but you know that off, like that awkward, that awkwardness.
CalArts kind of.
Yeah, that CalArts, that kind of awkward. Like it plays into some of those beats, but I think it does it very well. Visually, it's awesome. I think visually, visually it's immaculate, and I love everything it's leaning into. So far, I've been having a great time. The reason I stopped at 4 episodes was because I was watching it on my phone. And I said I want to switch over, watch it on my TV, do it proper when I'm inebriated a little bit, so that way I can make sure I'm experiencing these colors in the fullest extent. That shit. All of that shit. This is a really tricky place because I like where it's going, I like what it's doing, and I like the themes it's leaning into, especially because I think that, Ramona getting the spotlight a bit more, which is actually what this series is doing, I'm totally fine with. I think the other problem is, because I actually really like what it's doing, I'm like, in the same vein, like, dang, I kind of want to see how the comics would have been executed in this fashion. Because I do like Scott Pilgrim and his presence there, too. Because he's a bit more...
I will say that because you entered into that mindset, the payoff is going to be great for you.
But I think that... I don't think there is a way that this... Like, I think there was a way that this turn could have like completely derailed what I was trying to put into place. And I don't think that did that.
It's just a matter of so.
It's a very perspective.
Spoilers for this twist. This is not a retelling of the comics or the movie. It literally is just like, we're going to take a left turn and do something different. And if you're not expecting the left turn, like, it could catch you off guard. Apparently, you did not get caught off guard because you started watching it a month late, 6 weeks later.
6 weeks later.
But for me and JJ, we were caught completely off guard. My issue with even that note is just like you're not following all the themes about like exes aren't bad people, because the other story is just like hey, if you want to date someone, like if I'm going to break down what Scott Pilgrim the comic is, it's like I'm going to date someone, and that means I have to deal with all the trauma everyone that has dated you before has caused. That's what it means. And this movie is the other adult end of the spectrum when you're fucking 35 or something like that.
I need closure.
Not only do I need closure, it's just like they weren't a bad person. They were the best person they could be at that moment, which I understand.
And actually, in a lot of situations, or at least from the few I've faced so far, Ramona's a shitty person, so...
Yeah, like, with her getting more of a spotlight, it does sort of turn that judgmental, like... beam onto her, where it's like, well, in the comics Scott was a shitty person, but also I saw everything Scott did. I didn't see what you were doing in between the panels, and now in this version we see everything Ramona did in between the panels. Like, you're not coming off in the best light. You're also kind of a shit person, but like, we're all shitty.
Well,
We've all been shitty and like, look, if you've ever felt like you've been perfect in your relationships, you have.
Well, the writer from Scott Pilgrim is an Asian dude that's just like, white people are fucked up. That's kind of what he meant to get across in a way. And tell a heartwarming story with elements like samurai swords and things like that. But it's still kind of one of those things where I'm okay with that. Like, the comic does a very good job about, like, everything that you can do shitty in a relationship is done. Ghosting, manipulating, lying. That's all covered in the comic. And
Just being there for a free meal.
yes, that's all covered in the comic, but it's not covered in the show. Like, it literally goes right up to the line where it's just like, you can make a difference by just commenting on it, and instead they just ghost it. Like Chris Evans being the bad guy.
I've seen that, yes.
Oh yeah, I was always there for you, dummy. And then you just get a random.
So to point out a flaw, that one was the one where I said, we are doing the CalArts, be puppy cat weirdness, and I'm like, no, I need an answer, because for him, he was an asshole, but now he's an asshole, and he's just an asshole for asshole's sake. And then you, it's like, I was there for you until I wasn't. There was no sorry. There's no anything. It's like, because the thing was, the previous situation, the previous ex, got a really good resolution. Where I was like,
yeah,
yo, I fucked up. I'm really sorry about that. Second one, I was like, how come he didn't get that?
And it goes on like that. Literally, I'm not gonna spoil it too hard, but like, the twins still don't have many lines of dialogue in this show.
I can tell that coming.
The twins are the most important people in the comic in a way where it's just like, yeah, Ramona used both of us, and Scott literally uses Kimberly to win the day. Like, it was this really great, there's no good situation out of it that only the comic showed, and that's what I wanted. I'm like, you have 8 episodes to just give me a story of this much depth, and they didn't.
Yeah.
I'm positive on it so far. I'll finish it and kind of conclude on thoughts, because I want to make sure I give y'all both the spotlight since y'all both have seen it. I am still in the camp that I would still love to. I think that I still don't think it addresses the whole situation of wanting to see the original comic done in the fashion that they do this show, because I think that everything around it, from voice acting to presentation, I think the presentation is. I think the presentation is amazing. I think it's beautiful.
It is very. The animation is great.
Great. They lean into the style, and again, I love how every episode starts off with the dyeing, like, of the different dyes, hair dyeing, right? Like that. Like, they're leaning into the things that are tickling my millennial heart. It makes me feel like I'm like, man, I want to be in Toronto listening to this shitty indie band.
I was about to say, with the mindset you have, it is, because I just have minor gripes that are based on the comic, but they're minor gripes that lead to major gripes. If you're just open-minded enough that you're like, hey man, I'm enjoying what I'm getting so far, the payoff is going to be great for you. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I will get there, and I will let y'all know. But JJ.
So for me, it was kind of a hard pill to swallow that it wasn't just the comic. But I got over that. Like, okay, we're doing something different. Let's show me what you got. And as someone that's familiar with the comic and familiar with the movie, it still kind of feels like, okay, I get that you want to tell this different story. I still feel like you're leaving a lot on the table that was covered in the comics that you're not covering here. And also, I feel like a lot of the stuff that you're covering is kind of predicated on me having knowledge of what happens in the comics.
I will say that because there's one. This is not a spoiler. And this happens in the comics, and maybe they address it later better because I'm like, oh, it's like the knife situation that no one wants to talk about yet has not been talked about yet, and well, they have kind of, sort of. But it's not as like.
Well, it does that a lot. Like
I feel that
where they kind of sort of talk about it, and then they're like, okay, so moving on.
And I know the context of like how that pays off in all the other forms of medium. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I don't even know how you get a proper delivery with this, but also, like, it's just very interesting. It's just a very interesting approach for someone that it makes more. I think the base premise makes a bit more sense when it's a dude who's like, I'm really into this girl, but yeah, great. I gotta go through all this so I can properly get to a place of dating you. Some girl was like, oh damn, this guy got rocked because of
I was about to say, like, if you take a step back on what it is, it's just like, I really find this girl attractive, and this is literally, I need to get through all your trauma. I need to get through everything about a social standing, because No, I'm sorry. I confused this a little bit with Beck. But everything that it takes to date a person, like Scott goes through in the comic, where it's very easy to laugh at because we're 30-something. But I do understand being 22 or less. And Scott Pilgrim is like, oh, like, my girlfriend is here, or the girl that I like is here, and she doesn't even like my band, and now I feel terrible about it. Like, I get that to a degree, but it's also just something that, like, you have to deal with. That, like, if you date and like someone, they're not gonna like everything that you like.
I do a podcast. Kayla doesn't listen to my shit at all.
She said that she comes on once in a while just to clown us and then leaves.
Yeah. Oh, well,
I mean, that's not hard to do. Oh, well, clowning you is hard, but clowning me, not difficult.
So dating knives, and it's kind of funny because I think it happens a lot more now than it did then, because I think the comic was written like 2008. Wasn't in those circles. I've always been one of those guys. So flashback to me as a teenager. Me and JJ are going to relate to the story. There was a guy named Gambit, because he played Gambit in Marvel vs. Capcom all the time. And as a 14-year-old, we thought he was cool. This kid was 18. And he still kept hanging out with high school students the entire time until we were 18. So at a certain point, this dude was like 21, 22, talking to 14, 15-year-olds. And in my head, at some point in my sophomore year, I was like, I will never be that person. So when I graduated high school, or actually, I never talked to anyone younger than me, period. But when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm not coming back. The opposite of Scott Pilgrim. But I do understand at a certain point that it's just like, if you're 27 dating a 21-year-old, a 21-year-old is kind of more open-minded, or it's just like, yeah, I like anime. I'm willing to go to you with Ren Fair and stuff like that. Like, I get it. The problem is I'm 30, and I'm not going to go that far outside of my spectrum to do that kind of thing. But I do understand people do, 100%.
I do like how they just call it repeatedly out in the show and any forms media. Like, oh man, at least I'm not as scummy as Scott Pilgrim.
Well, Rakeen, you're 100% right that person should be in prison. The problem is that we grew up in a small town, and as far as I know, you can date anyone if the parents are okay with it. And in a small town, parents are okay with it. It's like, oh, he has a good job. He does this. He does that. And it's a very shitty place to be. And that's why I left my fucking hometown as fast as I could.
But it's real. It's, if you're in one of those small, granted, Toronto's not a small town, Scott, but I think at least the show pokes at it a little bit more. That said, again, don't have the perspective y'all do, which is like, you've completed it. Might get to the end and say, well, time out. How come there's no black people in the show? Kidding. There isn't.
I think that is a legitimate issue that some people had with the comic, but it might just be Canada.
It just might be Canada.
It's an issue with Canada itself.
You know what?
Blame Canada.
That's a fair enough answer.
South Park was right.
That's a fair enough answer for me.
Black people don't play hockey. Yeah, why would they be in Canada?
But I think it's just weird because at least where I landed so far, been enjoying it. I have a different perspective than y'all guys do. I understand that, but I also still don't. It doesn't pull away from the fact that I would have really loved.
Well, you read the comic. You're actually not that far away. You just.
I would still really love the same perspective the comics gave too. So like.
Right. Yeah.
Like it doesn't derail from that. This is almost like if there was like a delivery of this. The original Scott Pilgrim is like a season 1. This is like a season 2 type of situation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or like a vice versa. And then you get the best of both worlds. Or, hey, you release this all at like once and you're like, hey, player 1, player 2. There's a lot of ways it could have played into this and would have made a lot of sense.
I mean, like I said, according to the creators, according to all the advertising outside of the United States, they were pretty adamant on like, hey, this is a continuation of the story, which you haven't got to. But there is a certain factor that it's just like this for everything that it's going across. It's about 30-year-old Ramona and Scott Pilgrim still dealing with their baggage. But on to another note. This wasn't the only nerdy Netflix thing that should be covered. We already talked about Onimusha, but I didn't see Blue Eyed Samurai. I heard that was amazing.
I haven't seen it either.
They had
And Netflix dropped a lot of shit all at once. And it's like, bruh, like, give me time. I just got Spider-Man 2.
I'm still playing BG3. Like I'm trying to live my life, but Netflix said you're living in our world, bitch.
Yeah. No, so I'll probably try to knock that out. Like,
we might have a follow-up episode as soon as like in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. But I watched Onimusha instead. Onimusha is fine. Like I said, it's just very slow. The fight scenes, so it looks pretty stiff when it's not fighting, but once it's fighting, that animation's good. What else did I watch on Netflix? I watched Pluto. I've been watching Pluto.
That was actually the next thing that I was going to be my jumping off point, is that you and TJ love Pluto. You've been selling me on Pluto. The only reason that I'm not caught up is I was catching up on 30 Coins, which is something I'll talk about when we do a McGrew's reviews about best TV shows last year. But because it'll be last year by the time we do it. But on the note of Pluto, both of you guys, go off.
So Pluto is pretty interesting. For those of you who are into anime and been into anime for a while, it's the same writer, creator of Monster. This doesn't really go into super heavy into like the philosophical questions that Monster asks, but there's some elements of it there. What's interesting about it, and the way I kind of described it to Juan, was that this is kind of like the manga version of Grendel, where the original story, what Pluto is based off of, it's based off an Astro Boy story called The World's Greatest Robot, I think, where someone's going around murdering the most advanced robots ever built. And then it being Astro Boy, it's like, Monster of the Week, Astro Boy trounces it, we move on. Pluto is told not from the perspective of like the Astro Boy stand-in, it's told from the perspective of the Interpol detective that has to investigate this case. And it becomes a murder mystery. And it's really intriguing. One, just trying to solve it. Like, it does give you enough clues to make you go like, can I solve this on my own? Like, am I better than Gazit? Like, And also it goes in depth to like.
Yes, Grendel and Beowulf.
Yes, Grendel and Beowulf. There's a novelization where the roles are reversed and Grendel is the protagonist, and it's told from Grendel's perspective.
Yep.
Side note, real quick, TJ, we had to read that in 11th grade. Did you ever have to read Grendel
Or Beowulf.
Or Beowulf? Okay.
Weird. Go on.
Man, I read some fucked up shit. You want to like really get into my? So I, in 7th grade, read The True Story of Hansel and Gretel, which is
Like the Grimm's fairy tale version?
No, it is basically a rendition where it is based in World War II, and it goes into some dark, like I'm talking some dark ass places where Hansel and Gretel are.
So the candy is like
No. It's not a fun story. Hey yo,
diabetes? Like
I wish.
like that one MTV movie
like if you've never read it,
with Hawk Guy.
if you want to feel super bad about yourself and what happened? It was a tough read for a 7th grader. And I was
Now,
introduced.
Lord of the Flies is kind of hard in retrospect.
But at least that was high school. Like,
We're talking about high school.
no, I said the 7th grade. I read this, and so I was
What did we
prepped
read?
up.
We read The Girl Who Owned a City, which is a post-apocalyptic novel where everyone over the age of like 15 died by some like
some
mysterious
virus or something.
Yeah. And
we read The Giver.
it's The Walking Dead only with 15-year-olds.
So I have this really dark thought in my brain, and it's super dark. But I feel like you're not gonna fully be ready for adulthood until you read The Road.
Yeah.
Love that book.
It's very depressing and it's very hard, but it's just very much like, yeah, this will get you ready for it. I'm sorry, guys.
But Pluto, where it deviates from the source material, and it does, make changes. So it's not like if you read the Astro Boy story arc, you know how it ends. It does make changes, but where it deviates a lot is that since it's told from a different perspective, you also, from the perspective of, I think, more importantly, an investigator, you get more of the backstory of these robots, like the 7 most advanced robots in the world, and like, how did they come to be? What are their struggles? Like, it's asking those questions that are in sci-fi, like, are droids sentient? Do robots dream of electric sheep, if you will?
I actually haven't read that book, but I've seen
It's Blade Runner.
movies.
You saw Blade Runner? It's better.
That's the point. If it's better, I missed out.
Well, the director's cut is better. If you watch the theatrical cut, you get a narration from Harrison Ford that explains the whole movie to you, and it sucks. But no offense to anyone who likes the theatrical cut. I prefer the director's one. But no, it's really good. If you like murder mysteries and if you like that heavy sort of sci-fi where it's asking these questions of like what makes you moral, what makes you a man, what makes you human, if we create robots with perfect AI, are they truly like the pinnacle of creation, or do we have to put in limits? And if we put in limits, are they truly perfect?
Man, you sold me. I regret that I saw the Scott Pilgrim anime instead of this, because I feel like I would have enjoyed that more, the Scott Pilgrim anime.
So here's the one thing I will say that's kind of a knock on Pluto, or a plus on Scott Pilgrim and a sort of a knock on Pluto, is that Scott Pilgrim is 30-minute episodes.
Pluto takes a minute.
Pluto is 8 movies.
Huh.
Hence why I've not finished.
I haven't finished it either. I'm like I need like 3 more episodes.
3 more movies.
Yeah, 3 more movies. I need an entire Lord of the Rings saga.
I was about to say, like, when we were asking all these like metaphysical questions, I'm like, oh, it's like love, sex, and robots, and I'm like, oh,
Those are 10 minutes a pop.
10 to they range, but but not Pluto length. Flipping the script, going into something else, because basically JJ covered everything I need to say.
Also, it's beautifully animated.
Beautiful. But I want to reserve my. But God, we have to have an Animexcellence soon, so that we can cover this, finish this. On the flip side, the other anime property, Yu Yu Hakusho. I did see a little bit of that.
Yeah, I saw. It's not
One Piece.
No,
One Piece. It is not.
Yeah, I saw 2 episodes, I believe.
I was about to say that, like, you guys covered One Piece in one sentence last time.
Better than what we
the
thought.
One Piece is real.
And it got more people into One Piece, so as long as Oda gets
Got
his bag.
Maggie into One Piece.
I was about to say, like, I literally know people that just got into One Piece in the last 6 months, and then they were like, I hate the show. Like,
And One Piece is getting a remake because
The One Piece.
One Piece is that good to where it's still going live, and they have so many episodes.
I like
with
that
studios.
TikTok.
Yeah,
The TikTok with John Oliver. I mean, mine are banger, and it's the manga. After banger, the anime. After banger, the live action. After certified banger, the One Piece. I can't miss.
you can't. When your story's that fucking amazing, you can afford a anime remake.
well, like, before the show got dropped, like, I remember Doggett posted something about, like, like, it's the TV show is the first 50 episodes that kind of sucks. So,
It's a good jumping off point. If you watch
The
the live
remake
action.
is going to be the remake's going to be East Blue as well. So we're not getting out of East Blue for a minute, but hopefully it'll get enough time to season 2 will get and continue on some things. Yu Yu Hakusho, I've been rewatching the anime because
It does.
the music is very much on point.
No, oh man, if you want to feel pure 90s fucking injected in your veins, just watch
Literally
an
the way
episode-
they dress,
just
like, yeah.
watch an episode of Yu Yu Hakusho.
I'm still
and the
looking
way
for
it makes you
Yusuke's
feel.
jacket. It's like, that's a sweet fucking jacket, and I need it.
Nah, dude, I'll be sitting there. Dun, 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 dun. And yes, I am one of the people who thinks that. Look, I like the American opening, but that Japanese opening.
Smile Bomb.
Yeah, Smile Bomb is good. But I'll sum this up as quickly as possible. They crammed the Dark Tournament into season
Yeah,
one, and
they're speed running
Yep.
the fuck out of you.
There's
Impossible.
watching it in fast forward, and then there's snorting a line of coke, hitting it at max speed, and then going, I'm caught up.
I don't think it's terrible. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I just don't think it's better than some other live action properties.
Definitely. Yeah. It's
When I saw him get hit by a car, I was just like, this looks bad.
To me,
it's
Oh, that
way
was
worse
funny.
in the. For some reason, it's way worse in the live action.
Yeah,
that,
then in the anime, like
in the anime, it's like, oh, he got love tapped. You could live from
yeah,
that.
because I mean that was kind of the point, because the body's like preserved when
In
he
the-
comes back. And this one, like, guys, there's
like-
no other way to explain it. He got fucked up. That car just wrecked
It's
his
Mad Max.
shit. Yeah,
It's Fury Road. He went under the tires. Like,
he went under the wheel.
But, like, the armadillo and Rango got way more fucked up.
I mean, yeah, for going under the wheels, it's like,
Yeah, but-
all right, so he got a boo boo on his head. Like, and there are moments of CG where it's like, okay, you ran out of money.
Yeah.
not
Whenever
even
they
when
go,
they ran out of money. Sometimes some of the spirit guns were too hit or miss for me. Some of them I was like, that
all
was
right,
great.
I've only seen one spirit gun, so no, I've seen 2. Shit, you're right. No, but for me, it was when they whenever they go to Spirit World to visit Koenma. I'm like,
Don't mean to interrupt you too much, but somebody was like cosplaying on a budget. And I was like,
that's the jacket. I need that members only jacket, bro. Whenever they go to Spirit World, and I hate to say it this way, but it's the closest equivalent I can think of. It kind of feels like they got Power Rangers money.
Oh, that's a great way of describing things.
So if you're someone who's into like Super Sentai or still watches Power Rangers or Kamen Rider, anything of that, that's kind of the vibe you're gonna get when you watch Yu Yu Hakusho. It's not necessarily a bad thing, But for Yu Hakusho, I kind of wanted more.
Yeah, and that's such a good way to put it, actually, because the one thing that I was gonna like compliment was that I thought the choreography, like in the action, was like pretty decent. Yeah. Like I thought it was really good. Like, yeah,
I do like that first fight with Kuwabara.
Yeah,
he just comes out of nowhere and drop kick.
Like, yeah,
I'm a sucker for a drop kick.
Yeah, the CGI monster, like, yeah, it's like
Goki.
Yeah. Yeah, like it could be better, but like I mean, as far as like action and set pieces go, it's like no, yeah, I think it hits. But yeah, I do think like if you want the manga, you want the anime, it's like you're really not gonna find it here. Like,
I mean, you just can't. Dark Tournament is considered one of the best arcs in shonen in general for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty far away from this point, though.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's pretty far away from what point?
The dark, like from the starting point, like 10 episodes.
No.
They speed run.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Speed run
in the live action.
Like,
They finished Dark Tournament, right?
I
haven't finished it. So
I already saw all of Team Toguro by episode 3. They introduce the entirety of the big bad of
So
3 arcs later.
I didn't watch the show, and I remember watching like 10 episodes just to be like, I'm not going to train you unless you do this shit. Like,
oh no, they skipped the Genkai tournament.
Yeah.
So you don't see Rondo, which to a degree I'm okay with because it's like he kind of just won that out of pure luck.
But I think the Genkai tournament would have been the perfect season 1 ending point. Where it's
It
like,
would have been, yeah.
so
Where it's like teeing up, or at least, no, the perfect season 1 ending point would have been, with a couple episodes extra, would have been ending it off on the initial interaction with the Dagora team.
Yeah.
And then teeing up like, hey, yo, there's another
Rescuing
level to this shit.
Yukina
Yep.
and then end like season 2 Dark Tournament.
Like,
and
yeah,
then
I think the thing with Genkai that made it like really interesting is that there's like all these like physical challenges they had to go through and stuff like that. So I think seeing that like in a live action does help build up the story and build up the world building in the sense of like he is, a normal human, but he has to go through all this like supernatural like training and stuff. So I think it would have worked if they did adapted it. But yeah, I could see why they wanted to skip it, but I don't know. I think that's just me personally.
So for reference, I think the Dark Tournament is like episode 30 something. It might be like 40. It might be in the 50s.
It's before. It's 30s. You're right.
It's 30.
It's late 20s.
Yeah, because Yu Yu Hakusho is really not that long. It didn't hit 100 episodes.
I mean, I've seen a lot of TikToks that are like, dude, it just ends.
It does just
It does
end.
not have the strongest ending.
No, it does not, and that's because Togashi was dying.
Isn't he always?
Yeah, he's still. That's his perpetual state of being.
Said I'm not to take away from any of his suffering because mangaka suffer a lot, but technically speaking, motherfucker wrote Hunter x Hunter dying. So
Yeah, and he's still writing it.
still when he chooses to.
When you choose, well, he's
He's just too good of a writer. Heal him. Put him into some chamber.
put
to
him in
heal.
the Bacta chamber.
We're going to get into this kind of element when it comes to JJK in a second.
But yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho is really not that long. It's a breezy watch. The dub is actually very good. So if you have the time, if you're looking for something new to watch and you haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho, I highly recommend it. It's one of the few animes that I can say that from jump, it's good, and you're
very much into Yusuke. They don't dwell on things too long. It moves really quickly. The pace is good.
You 100% get a sense of like who Yusuke is within episode 1. And the first 5 episodes are very neat, sort of like slice of life almost kind of episodes, and then like episode 6 onward, you get a feel of what the show is actually, and it's a very good shonen battle anime.
Very
Yeah.
So PDB30 asks, what's the expectation for how many shows because of it's a Netflix project?
Done.
I don't think this is getting
I don't
another
think
one.
it's gonna get a second season, man.
It ain't no One Piece.
I mean, I was about to say, even when it comes to One Piece, you said there's a certain point that they literally can't portray the story in live action.
I don't think so. I don't know how they do any of the New World, if I'm being honest. Without breaking that budget, I think they can get through. Well, let me rephrase that. I think Fishman Island's really hard.
I don't even think Chomper can look really good.
I don't know how they're doing that. Better be an actual
Muppet. I want a Muppet. I want Muppet Tony Chopper. I don't know what they're gonna do when he gets huge, but
Water 7's going to cost a lot of money. Thriller barks.
Water 7's gonna be a lot of CG.
So,
and it's
I
not
don't
gonna
think
be
Marine Ford
great
can be
CG.
But let's go on to the.
I don't think Frankie can look
Bro,
good
Impel
either.
Down. How are you gonna do Magellan?
We will see when they get there. We'll see how much. But Oda's going to have to dip into the personal penny purse to make that look good. But going on to the main anime, or the last anime we're talking about, right?
The main anime of this, because I
haven't really watched a lot this season. So this has been what has been keeping me grounded outside of that One Piece goodness. But
well, it comes down to really funny. I don't know why Sam came and slapped the table. I in the context of like I don't remember what we were talking about. I think we were talking about like you can't make new comic heroes. Nobody wants anything new, is what Sam said, and he slammed the table. And I was like, that's not a problem at all for us anime folk over here.
get new shit all the time.
Too much, too fast sometimes.
We get a lot.
So
of
this
it.
man is chainsaws, you say? Intriguing.
What? Chainsaw, dude?
Chainsaw guy.
On that note,
Chainsaw human? No, I got you.
Chainsaw is having a problem getting a season 2, but we'll go on.
It's
to
got
that.
a movie.
It's getting a movie.
Oh, all right.
It is getting a movie.
But let's go back to Jujutsu Kaisen, which was an example of something that is like it's relatively new. We're in the second season. We just ended the second season today, which is why we
My heart.
people like Tina Uchiha were just like, be ready to be sad. And so mild spoiler for me is just like, hey, get ready for Panda to die. And I was like, I don't give a fuck if Panda dies. I'm sorry, why?
Doesn't
I
happen.
broke it to him already. It doesn't have.
You're okay. Spoiler alert, that's not what happens. But there is a lot of dying this season.
I thought they fast forwarded it a little bit. I don't know, because I thought things that happened in the manga were a little bit more further ahead. That's just in my brain based on TikTok. But it was really like everyone that
It was actually paced really well.
Oh, okay.
That's how fast it was in the manga. Like, that's no bullshit. They move that quickly. These motherfuckers do not. Gege does not waste time in the manga. The motherfucker is like, we get into this next shit, and we get into there quick, to his detriment in some cases. But in this case, no, it moves as quickly as the manga does.
Well, he wanted to end this a little bit earlier than. I mean, it's still going today. Like, but he wanted to end this right, like about
He's
an
ending
arc
it on
after
his
this.
terms, I think.
He's ending it on his terms, but I think a lot of people speculated that because of the whole you can't go under a pen name, or you have to like reveal like your true face and shit, like he was gonna be one of those that like, oh, when's the due date on that? October. And everyone dies before October.
He's
He's a very private person,
and he's. You can. I think the pacing of JJK going into the manga stuff is one of its greatest strengths, and sometimes it's a weakness, but I don't feel like it's a bad weakness. It's just interesting because you get to manga, how much they've covered since from where the anime is to now. It's absolutely astronomical.
I don't know where the manga goes. That's actually me and JJ talked about it before we were going to do this podcast, where it's just like TJ knows so much about the future than me and JJ do. Where it's
I'll give you the secrets if you'd like.
Into the
I just gotta stop being a stingy bastard and give Shonen Jump $3 a month, bro.
It's a great. I mean, I'm caught up on everything. So let me. Hey, what's up, Solid Bison? Thanks for being subscribed for 10 months. But
it gets better. What is it? What is the definition of better?
it gets better. What are you talking about, Tina? If you've read, it doesn't get better. The situation in circumstances don't get better at all. What are you talking about? It's worse.
I will say on the note of better. Like I do think it's funny as far as I know about JJK, which is as far as
I think
watched.
the show. If Tina means like terms of quality, it does continue to get better. I think it's
Well, I
Every
just,
new fight is like, damn, this is beautiful.
I was about to say that like JJK, and I saw a meme about this that was hilarious, and I don't know how to pull it up, but it's just like you don't really want to help the protagonist at all, Sukuna.
It's the Ninetales Fox, and I forget what the other one was.
It's
but
Bleach.
Oh yeah, it's the hollow that Ichigo has within him. And they're like, really? You don't want to? No. I'm evil.
yeah, Tina. I was like, you can't be talking about situations and circumstances. Motherfuckers in JJK, Giga don't give a fuck. Motherfuckers really give a fuck at all.
We to tie this into the pre-show, we were talking about the Iron Claw, and on the drive over here, me and Juan were like, I don't remember. Like, I know the story of the Von Erichs tangentially. I'm not intimately familiar with it. I didn't like write the A&E biography on them, but like, I don't remember the tragedies being back to back to back to back like the way they are depicted in the movie. And when I was watching the movie, I was like, this is Shinjuku all over again. I can't escape it. It just keeps happening to me.
How do I put it? I'll go ahead and rip off Band-Aid. I think, first of all, I think the season of JJK has been awesome. I think it's been an elevation of the last season in terms of animation, in terms of what they're willing to do, in terms of styles.
Really introduce new bad guys and new heroes in the best way possible.
I definitely think that where you get some, like, I know that in Wanted Dish, actually, to your point, like, you know, it would like should have done a mini arc where they're kind of introducing some of the characters a bit more and interacting.
I think that's what the movie accomplished.
I think on the universe, you get more interactions with the characters in the future, which is interesting because it's almost like you get introduced with a bunch of people. They all do these certain things. You don't know what they do, but there's and I think it doesn't slow down because in the next arc you get introduced to a fuck ton more characters than you have anything to do with, because if you watch today's episode, you know why you get introduced to so many characters. Basically, it sets the stage for a certain circumstance where there's a bunch of new sorcerers that you'll get introduced to. All of that said, I think what this season does very well, and I think what something it does over does over the manga very well, is I think those moment-to-moment fights are the Chozo versus Yuji fight is not something as memorable in the manga for me personally. Yeah. In the anime, that is done immaculately. Everything with Toto is done immaculately. You could tell they love him in the anime. They love him to death.
Can I say a mild spoiler about that? I hate that he never does anything.
No.
Too much of a spoiler?
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't know. Yeah, you're not caught up. You're not caught up.
You don't know what he knows.
You don't know my shit.
He's got future sight.
He's got those speakers.
But no, you can't say too much. But
by the way, a mild. I don't know if you watched the clip. I'm not going to pull it up because I don't want Key to edit. We're doing so good. We're at 2 hours and 2 minutes. We're doing so good without pulling up a clip. I'm going to be able to tell Key after this, like, nothing, bro. But it is one of my favorite moments that I didn't notice, and TikTok had to point it out. Yeah. Blocks with the left, blocks with the right, does his clap, and everyone's like, "What?
Where does he clap?" That's not in the manga. But we all have questions. All of that said, I would say that
which is funny because he wouldn't have the issue that he has if he could do that.
No questions. But I would say that I think that when it comes to just a story implementation perspective, look, they did a great job on making characters feel like threats in this. I think Sukuna feels more like a threat than anything. Like, you're like, when there's a threat, it's like Mahito. First of all, that's how you do a villain. No bullshit. No happy to dop shit. Mahito is a real villain. A true villain.
There's an... I don't... I need a spoiler section for this. Just a mild one, but go on.
Mahito's a real villain. I would say that even
As
I love Ghetto.
As he's not even fighting the main character. He's fucking meat manipulating people into swords along the way.
and he's and casually doing that. There's no man crush I have on this planet that even equates to half of what I feel for Toji. Because anime Toji's a very different Toji. He's great in the manga. But when I look, spoiler, not really spoiler, motherfucker does this thing where he fucking hits the ground and then just starts speed blitzing rubble. And you're like, oh, I feel something in my stomach I've never felt before. Really and truly, I think they did this anime adaptation as immaculately as possible, and knowing the circumstances behind it, it's even more impressive how much effort and just beauty that was delivered from a voice actor. Mahito's voice actor is deserving an award. I think a lot of the voice acting in this is amazing, but that's just anime in general. But no, it's in a testament to how much they gave a shit about this production. And it's really exciting to see because they do set the stage up for the next arc. And there's a character that gets introduced in today's episode, in the last episode, that a lot of people have been wanting. So I'm excited for y'all. And I am a big fan of him as well. And I love that he shows up. And I think that they do this great balance of making characters you're not introduced to really, really cool. I think Chozo got a lot of shine during the anime this season. There's a lot of characters you guys haven't been introduced to, which I think that will vibe with a lot of people. Well, and it just gets me more excited for the next arc because I really do like Shibuya. I think Shibuya is immaculate. I'm also a really big fan of what comes next.
I will say that the Toto fight is because we were gloshing up a storm when it came up to Demon Slayer Tengen's fight with.
Yes, and I still think it's immaculate.
It is still immaculate. I still listen. I still watch it when I'm warming up at the gym. This is the first thing that I've seen that rivals it.
I think it's a season of presentation. Yes, I think that. Well, I think that. And I mean, well, you haven't seen One Piece current. One Piece. Yes. Where are you in One Piece, by the way?
So Maggie started watching it, so I'm technically back to episode 71.
No, you're not. Where are you at in Wano?
In Wano, I'm still at 10:25 because Maggie comes over to the apartment like every other week, and I'm like, we're gonna watch One Piece now.
So on the note of what you're gonna talk about, I've seen what happens in the newest episodes, and it's not a spoiler to me because I'm like, that's so fucking far away.
Because I think that it's different from a.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's like that's the whole thing. Pre-animation means.
But I literally walk into the gym 70% of the time listening to the Drums of Liberation because I'm just like. Yeah. All right.
And I try and tell people, like, pretty animation means nothing unless you have the meaning behind it. And now, granted, pretty animation to a certain extent does. Demon Slayer is a really tricky camp where I think that immaculately on execution from an animation perspective, there's very hard to find flaws in it. But I also don't think on a lot of the story beats that it has the same weight as a lot of these other stories do, right?
Demon Slayer?
Yeah. Demon Slayer in particular.
Maggie, our friend, hates Demon Slayer. She thinks the story is very generic and it wouldn't be passable if it wasn't for the animation.
Yeah. I am on board with Maggie on this one because I think the anime just elevates everything that's there. It's not to say that the story is bad, it's to say that the presentation truly and wholly is elevating what is there. Yeah.
And there's and as somebody who watched season 1 went to go read the manga until its completion, or to complete at the point that I have completed it, the best part of Demon Slayer has yet to come, but it also comes with the worst part of Demon Slayer that is yet to come. It's very interesting.
Good night, Badgie.
But those feelings, I'm like, I think when I go to Demon Slayer, I'm like, pre-animation cannot create a story. It can only carry and elevate what's there. It's why season 3, I feel like a lot of people had some fatigue in terms of like, cool. I like what I'm seeing, but the villains aren't hitting the same for a lot of people, with the exception of a couple of situations, circumstances.
Oh, I thought all the villains were super weak in the newest season.
Like, season 2 was very, very good because, they did a great job driving the narrative towards one main villain throughout the entirety of the circumstances. You feel for that circumstance and whatnot. Like the villains in literally the main villain that gets taken out in both of the main villains that get taken out in season 3, spoiler alert, they don't even have like a redeeming quality. They just kind of suck.
You literally hate the villain so much in season 2, and I'm like, ain't no fucking way you're gonna make me feel bad for these people.
You don't.
No, I kind of do when they're like, oh yeah, like by the way, she was a whore and he was the person that protected her, and they just had no chance in life at all. And I'm like, you legitimately got me to feel bad for the worst people in this fucking series.
And they usually are better about that. And there's some
that does not happen in the newest season at all.
And I feel like at least with what's coming up in Demon Slayer, spoiler alert, you get a bit more character delivery. I don't know how they're going to do the next kind of mini arc thing. It's a little bit slow until it gets to a certain point. But there's a lot of things that people have been wanting with certain characters that do get delivered on in Demon Slayer here in the next arc. But leaving Demon Slayer aside, whereas JJK, I think they did a great job of having the weight of the story. And I know that Unwanted Dish, you had mentioned, at least correct me if it's not you, that you had a hidden inventory over Shibuya arc in terms of how you feel about it.
Someone on the chat.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Unwanted Dish. And I wouldn't even blame you for that, because I think the way they did hidden inventory in this, hidden inventory feels like a movie. Like, it's actually fantastic. It does, yeah. Like, they could, and I'm glad they didn't make it one. Thank you for not doing that, because only certain anime get that pass sometimes. But I think that with Shibuya, I think that both of these segments are just so immaculately done. You feel and feel compelled that, hey, this great animation is being driven by also some really competent storytelling from the perspective of there's weight to these things. There's a lot like JJK is one of the few shows where you're like, I don't know who's going to survive and make it to the next episode, because they're not afraid to knock out people, and you're going to learn that the hard way in these next couple arcs as well. Then on the inverse, my animation of the year still goes to One Piece, but that's because of the story as well. And so it just really is a kind of placating to animation. Story goes so hand in hand. JJK isn't even super story driven at this point just yet. Really, I think the story kicks in very heftily in this next arc as well. But I think they're starting to kind of get closer to really giving, like, they've done a lot of world building. They've set up the stage for a lot of really awesome things to come. And yeah, I thought it was an immaculate season, but I went on my soapbox.
Mild spoiler.
No, not you. I was like, you're Unwanted Dish in my brain. There's 2 Ds. That's how it's gonna be. Unwanted Dish. I'm kidding.
I do like that everything is as depressing as it could be in this fucking show. Everything is like on its last lope, and then like, as somebody had brought up, like, yes, I am a Toto stan. Like, literally.
And I'm talking. Opera comes in.
A choir of angels.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, oh god. And the way they do it is like, it makes you feel like, oh my, because it's like there's this light. There's something. We have hope.
Toto.
So, like I said, I was told Panda dies in a spoiler. Apparently, it doesn't even happen this fucking season.
No, it doesn't happen.
But I did not. I knew a little bit about with some of the characters meeting their fate.
Time out. What did you say got spoiled on?
Panda dies.
No, we're just smoking shit. I've read it. No spoilers. It doesn't happen like that. Spoiler alert for the anime. Pan is fine.
Yes. But there's a lot of characters that are not fine, and like literally you're getting punched in the chest. And there's one of them that I'm just kind of like, I'm okay with this because it's the Gandalf type character. It's like, okay, like obviously the person that teaches you needs to go at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Mentor.
Exactly.
Mentor figures always, yeah.
But then the next person bites it, and I'm like, I did not see this coming.
That one was, I loved when people felt so bad about that one. They wanted to drop the show. I said, oh, y'all got clapped up, huh? It said first time. Like, literally, I was like, y'all, get ready for the next arc, baby.
Their last words were literally, tell them I lived a good life. And I was like, bro, you didn't need to hit me with this right now.
I also really like how it's one of the few shows that was like, we have removed the strongest from the universe or from the verse from this situation. And everyone's like, fuck. Yeah, like literally, they're like, Nix came out and said,
there's a dude that switches sides. He was like, look, Panda, I know you know this guy like your homies, but with Gojo gone, fuck this dude. We gotta kill him.
yeah, like because I don't think it's a spoiler if you've been keeping up, but like essentially, yeah, like Gojo's not around in this situation, not dead or anything, but just not around in this situation. And what and with that, it's
He's
so
too powerful to be in this story
because literally
it's the same reason. It's the same reason that Professor X has been written out of every X-Men movie. Like it's just like, oh, he would just solve the problem in 10 minutes.
No, and that's how they make Gojo. They're like they straight up say the sorcerers themselves, the dicks who were like control, like they went into hiding because they were like, nah, Gojo's around. We can't do shit when he's around. So when they take him out and you're like, oh my gosh, the power imbalance is just so off kilter. To me, that is overpowered done right. That is how you give the weight of how someone is such a threat. And there's a whole other threat unit person who shows up at the end of this season who is like, they're like, well, fuck. Gojo's gone. Well, finally we're alluding to our number 2. And they're like, you're the only person who can do this one thing. And when they say what he's going to do, they're like, well, damn, how strong is this person? So it's very interesting when they do the power scaling. And in the manga, no spoilers, but if you get to the characters that are in the play right now, you'd be very much enjoying kind of how they...
This is something that I think the JJK does a lot, because also Toto's number 1 in his class, and then when you see what the rest of his class does in this
Dog! Dog, there's some...
You guys were only a threat because you had Toto.
Dog, they straight up one character says, I didn't let y'all niggas go because y'all sorry. No, y'all can't go because y'all are bad. And when they show up, you're like, well, shit, he ain't wrong.
I think that...
I like all the memes that are like, this is the class at 100% of their strength. This is the class at 99%, and it's just Toto.
I am a fan of...
It's so true.
So anime isn't normally, because we all grew up on Dragon Ball and shit like that. So it's always like, oh, I can just power up to defeat this kind of thing. That's not a thing in
Power
JJK.
of friendship, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a thing in JJK.
Believe in the heart of the cards.
In JJK, you literally see characters running away because it's like, we have zero fucking chance against...
Dog, there's a character who literally will constantly say, man, motherfucker, I don't want to be here. I still don't want to be here. And if I could do anything, I'd be fighting weaklings until we get past the situation. Even though it shows off a bit that he's very
chief antagonist that is not the chief antagonist of this yet shows up and he's like, if any of you move, you're fucking dead. And everyone listens to him.
Which I also think is one of the most thug scenes. Hold up. Oh my god.
And he gives them enough time that it's just like, you can run away.
We gotta get out of here.
Oh, dude.
I won't allow it. If anyone moves in the next... Let's call it 5. 5 seconds. I'm gonna kill him.
Hold up. Let me,
One.
I'm texting. Let me text this to you on the I need a. This is the clip that I would love shown.
Just not on the Discord.
What would be the best way to give you this, Marcos, so you can play it on the?
Just send it to Messenger and then I'll send it from there.
Got you. I will send it to I'll send it to you directly on Messenger.
But this is a show that is legitimately. It's almost Game of Thrones in the sense of just like you cannot run away from the. You cannot. There is no power of friendship coming. There is no ex machina here to save you. It's just like everything is on the table. Everything is like you can lose it at any given fucking moment. And strategy is very fucking important from however you do anything from here on out.
right, see if you can play that.
Yeah.
So this was a YouTuber that I saw on, I think it was FPS Russia. He got his dad into Game of Thrones, and that one episode where Pedro Pascal's character dies. His dad really liked Pedro Pascal's character, and he's like, well, I mean, he just lost an eye. He can be, oh, no. That's all of this arc. It's that constantly, over and over again. Like, well, I mean, he just lost an eye. He'll be like, oh, no. Oh, dude.
I found it, but I don't know how to make it bigger. No.
See, this is why I don't like Mario Party. You can just invoke Sukuna. It's like a goddamn Ouija board.
No, that was when I saw that meme the other day, I lost it. I went into cyberspace, dog.
Ironically, I do think that is an actual mini game. There is a red light, green light mini
Mother.
game.
Mother.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know what special sauce Mappa cooks up over there, but from voice acting to delivery to everything in the execution.
I think it's meth.
Just because I feel like, and this is, and I think JJK and One Piece and Wano and just certain, like, when people are like asking what you expect from a manga adaptation or an anime adaptation, it is to elevate certain elements that could not be represented in the manga, but ultimately create this medium that you are like drives you to want to read the manga, and vice versa. You want to go from the manga to reading the anime. I mean, to watching the anime. It's like this kind of symbiotic relationship where, man, you get to the end of JJK season 2, it's hard to not want to go read the manga. And then on the inverse, you're like, man, but the anime does it so well. I want to keep watching the anime, and that's how you should be feeling. Magi does this in an amazing way because I think Magi's anime is just as good as the manga.
Just a weird question. Because it doesn't always happen this way in American culture, where it's just like, I love the Blue Beetle, will not pick up a Blue Beetle comic for sure. Mm-hmm. Is it just Japanese culture that it's just kind of like they have this synchronicity in their marketing where it's just like the anime is made to push the manga and the manga is made to push the anime?
Actually, yeah. I would think that they're the best example of it, and one of the only examples.
It's that, and it's the fact that like manga is unique to comics in the sense that when you read a manga, 99% of the time, it's a singular vision.
Yeah.
When you pick up One Piece, it's Ichiro Oda's vision. Mm-hmm. It's not like Ichiro Oda did like 50 issues of this and then he moved on to Superman. No. He's been writing it from day one, drawing it they get assistants to help. But like it's his vision from issue 1 to wherever the fuck it ends. Singular. You can't say that with American comics. For the most part, you can watch a Spider-Man movie, you can watch, No Way Home, but you can't pick up a Spider-Man comic and see that same vision translated onto the screen or translated onto the page. Mm-hmm. It's different writers, it's a different artist every time. It's always cycling out. And that has its strengths and that has its weaknesses. The strength that manga has found is that when you translate it over, that does mean increased sales because people know what they're getting.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in the cases where I think what happens when there is
they also make it super accessible. You just finished the live action One Piece. You want to start One Piece? Which one do I pick up? Volume 1.
Volume 1.
You start with 1.
The Shonen Jump app.
If you just
Where do you want to go to start reading?
If you watch Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, what comic do you pick up?
Damn.
I think to your point, whereas even a bad anime adaptation, sometimes you're like, a lot of people will come out and say, hey, just read the manga. And it's still a representation of like, there is a medium that you can get where there's a true source material towards a story. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Manga tells cohesive end-to-end stories. Not to say it's always perfect. There are tropes in any form of media. Manga has its own tropes. There isn't the same character with so many different interpretations that makes it quite difficult to get a true read.
We didn't cover this, and if we had another episode of the Animexcellence between now and when it happened, we would have talked about what happened in the most recent JJK anime manga. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to spoil that for you guys. But what I will talk about when you say that like not everything is satisfying.
Not every anime adaptation is satisfying.
Well, it just meant not every story is that. I got really into the Revengers when I saw the anime.
Tokyo Revengers? Yeah.
I read how it ended at some point this year, and I was like, I am so glad to know that like this is how it ends, so I'm not going to waste my fucking time from here to there.
I think there's some... I think manga's one of the ones where I don't know if... I guess I'm kind of half and half on reading the context behind an ending without reading.
So it doesn't start with one Serenity. Like, I mean, credit where credit's due. Yes, you can find it, but how long did that take you? How long would it take me if I don't know?
And granted, yes, I could do some digging, but then, I'll put it this way. I just think that, and it's. I do think it's easier for comic book fans to navigate these things because you've been comic book fans and you kind of know how that operates. Hey, I could say the same about manga fans. It's easier to kind of navigate as a manga person because sometimes finding a certain manga and only knowing the Japanese name and having to be like, oh, wait, shit, you know about the American name? I got to make sure that you know about the Japanese name. That makes it difficult too. But realistically speaking, it is not the easiest thing in the world. Like, they don't think they make it super easy to get into comics and don't make it super easy to catch up on comics.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that in terms of like one-to-one, it's a lot easier to get into a manga because you just start with volume 1, issue 1. Mm-hmm. Whereas with comics, it's like, oh, do you like this writer? Well, then start with this issue of X-Men because this is where he started.
And it's why, like, I think that you can love Miles Morales and into the Spider-Verse, across the Spider-Verse, you can love both of them and still be like, where the fuck do I start? Because everyone will tell you that a lot of Miles Morales didn't even get good until some of the most recent adaptations, and then you're like, but I want to start at it gets into this navigation of confusion. Even if you don't want to start where you left off in an anime, people could tell you, oh, hey, if you watch some One Piece live action, go back and start volume 1, but if you're hate me, then it's like, cool, start right after Reverse Mountain.
Yeah.
And you could continue. There's just a bit more uniformity across the board.
Well, guys, thank you all for coming out. Telling Tree, if you got your question, go ahead and ask. We will answer it. Outside of that, if you don't ask in the next minute or two, that'll be it for our show here tonight. I do thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for supporting Themexcellence. We do have a special post show if you want to stick around and listen to what we have to say in the next 5 minutes. But really, thank you all for supporting this show because we know we don't do it as often enough as you guys love anime, as much as we love anime, honestly. But it's really hard to keep up, and anime doesn't have a lot of stopping points compared to, hey, let's review Blue Beetle. Hey, let's review this season of Fargo. Like, it's just a lot harder to do, but I do appreciate you guys tuning in.
Open thank your you gifts. All. We have gifts.
Good night.